folks, Charles75N here, and this is the kind of video I usually don't kind of like to make because it means something went wrong in the process. And so we sprayed our first 3 coats of clear on our Warlock shaped object, and when we did so, we had a weird kind of reaction. First of all, it wasn't the right day to spray clear based on, how humid it was and the temperature, but we sprayed anyway. And apparently I thought I had gotten all the sanding sealer smoothed out really correctly, but it looks like perhaps in some places I didn't. And there were a couple places where the fabric lifted on the guitar while it was coming to clear. So we've got a bunch of issues that we had to go ahead and resolve. But let's go ahead and take you through that process, and then I'll bring you back and show you where we are in the process right now. And we sprayed our first 3 coats of clear, and it didn't go down very well. We've got some really bad texturing in here. There's a couple things. Apparently it didn't sand out very well with the sanding sealer before I sprayed. And of course the day I sprayed it wasn't a really great day to spray anyway. And so you can see right here, I'm not sure if you can see it in your angle, but there's a bit of rough texture here and a little bit of dripping as well. And then there's some stuff here where it's just not very smooth. And it was like this all over. But I've already gone ahead and I've already gone back and sanded the top part of it. And so you can see the difference here where things look a whole lot nicer. And so things do look a whole lot nicer here. And it's just a matter of going ahead and having to knock down the clear all the way down to smooth it out instead of looking at, oh, you really can't see it on this camera. But right in here, it's all pretty nasty right in here. And the texture on the back is not the greatest, and things aren't really smooth. I think it was a bad can of clear too as well. And so we're just going to go ahead, we're going to grab our drill, which was what fell down behind me, which is awesome, because always you want your power tools falling down. And we're going to wet sand with this because we want to go ahead and get this done fast. So earphone listeners, beware. Now I know that I've kind of spoiled you guys, and a lot of times when I do something, it comes out right the first time. No, it doesn't. It almost never does. But things usually go a lot smoother than this. And so this kind of takes me back to when I was working on Ben's Reamer. And, well, this didn't come out at all the way I wanted it to. So we're going to basically be wet sanding this all the way down, figuring out what we're going to do with a couple places that are just not what they should be, and go from there. And so, as always, look at this guy like he's ending the video. Now I'm going to finish wet sanding this, and I'm going to come back and get it all ready, and I'll show you what it looks like before we go into clear one more time, until we go into clear for the second time. It's going to take a lot of work to get this where I want it to be, but we're going to get there. We're going to figure it out, and part of it is just the fun of doing that. So, yay. Here we go. Hey folks, here we are back with our Warlock after wet sanding off the clear that didn't spray so well. And so we've kind of got it back to where we can work with it, but it does represent some problems with our work here. So if we look really close right here, and let me flip that around for you. If we look really close right here, and it's kind of hard for you to see it. We've lost some color here. Now, if you come up here on this horn, you see where we lost more color. This is where we've gone ahead and we've sanded through the clear that we sprayed in order to get it off and to do that. And we took some of the color from our fabric as well. But I do have a trick or two to go ahead and take care of that. But if we were to wipe it with a wet rag, you see it kind of disappears and we get some of our color back. So we know when we hit it with clear, we're going to naturally get some of that color back. So I just need to do a little bit more. And there are all kinds of, but I do have a couple techniques to do that. It's a little rough here where the fabric kind of lifted on this corner here. And so I'm going to need to find a way to smooth that out so that you don't feel it. And the patch on this side is pretty nice. It's the patch on this side that feels a little bit rougher. And we had a whole bunch of lifting here once we sprayed it clear. So again, we've sanded it down as much as we can. We may have to do some cutting with our knife. Haven't quite figured out what we're going to do here to make this right, or if we just need to go ahead and start all over. But I don't think we do. I think we can go ahead and save it. And you notice as I wipe here, it begins to look snazzier, so it gives you an idea of what you do with the clear. So there are a couple places where it does need some attention. Our inner horns are still looking really good. Okay. You can see our side here is looking good. Our other side here, and again, this is where we have that lifting that I'm going to need to figure out. Maybe I can cut the fabric, release it, glue it back down, and that'll solve part of that problem. But when we go over to the back here, we've got a couple of issues. For example, there are some indentations on the wood here that I don't know how they got there. I had used some wood filler on the back here, and it was nice and smooth, but I don't know if that something happened when it came in contact with the glue or what, but it didn't show until we started spraying our clear. And we did have some of this fabric that did lift at that point. And so we've kind of taken care of that, but you can see we've got these little white marks in it. We've lost some color down here. Again, I've got some solutions to that problem. I'm gonna have to maybe use some super glue to fill in the indentations before we spray any more clear in order to fill that out. And of course, this part of the patch on the back here, it had a run on it with the clear, and so but you can see once we respray it, it should come nice and clean if I do a little bit more work with it. So there's a bunch of setbacks on this guitar, and but I think they can all be corrected. But it goes back to that thing where what I usually tell myself and what I usually do is, if you're not feeling it, put it aside. If it's not working out, put it aside. I'm sorry you haven't had a video in a while, but there were a couple secret projects that I couldn't post up on the channel yet until they get done and turned over to their owners. One of them's a Telecaster, and it's got a cool biker theme on it. And the other one is Charles Green's guitar, which I'm not going to talk too much about because that is almost done, and you'll be seeing that soon enough. So it meant that the Warlock had to take a back seat for a while, and so we didn't. And so we haven't had time to really work with it. And then when I did have the day to work with it, I rushed it and I created a bunch of problems for myself. And so in our next video, we're going to go ahead and continue to straighten out the rest of those problems. I'll show you a couple of things that I have in mind for it. And then we're going to respray our clear and see if we can't get it back in the way that we want it to be. So, as always, enjoy your guitar journey, and thank you for being part of mine.